Hi, this is Kara McNall. Welcome to my channel. You can find me at inspiredbygraham.com. Today we'll be making this card, and the front of the card looks like this, and the inside is just simple with some Whisper White and some of the Designer Series paper, just a strip down here that's 1/2 inch. So let's go over the products we'll need to create the card. So all the products most of them come from the Occasions and the Celebration catalog. So let's go over the All My Love Suite. This is, it's more geared towards Valentine's, but so much more. So the Designer Series paper we're going to be using is from the All My Love Designer Series paper on page 5. And I'm not using this stamp set, but I'm going to be using one of the dies here in the Lovely Flowers Edgelit dies. So if you want to save some money, I would suggest you buy the stamp set and the dies because you can save 10%. So this bundle costs $47.50. So if you just add a pair like dimensionals or an ink pad or just something that doesn't cost too much, you can get some free product. And we'll talk about that in a little bit. So the stamp set we'll be using is meant to be, and it's on page 6, and it also can be bundled with the Be Mine Stitch framelit dies, which are $53. So, and that's saving, and you can save 10%. So if you purchase these 2 items, you can get a free celebration. And let me show you what I purchased. I did purchase an order worth $50, and I picked out the Organdy Ribbon Combo Pack. So this ribbon comes in Balmy Blue, Daffodil Delight, Grapefruit Grove, Highland Heather, and Lemon Lime Twist. In my card today, I used the Balmy Blue. And let me just bring this up. And the ribbon is really cool because it's transparent in the middle, and you can see the Designer Series paper through the ribbon. So I thought that was kind of cool. And also in the Designer Series paper, you can see a little bit of the Balmy Blue. So I wanted to take from the Designer Series paper and incorporate the ribbon to the card. So let's create this. I call it a 3-panel card. Sure, there's another name for it, but that's what I'll call it today. So we will need a card base, and this is Crumb Cake, and it's cut 8.5 by 5.5, and I've already pre-scored it at 4 1/4. The next piece we'll need is a piece of early espresso. This is cut 4 5/8 by 3 1/4. Then you'll need 3 pieces of the Designer Series paper, and they are cut at 1 3/8 by 3. And the reason why I cut it by 3 inches is because you can get so much more out of your Designer Series paper if you cut it 3 inches. So let's just adhere these down onto the early espresso, and I'll just bring my snail in. And what I do on a panel card, I like to put the left and right panel on first, and then I do the middle. So, and also you want to make sure in the pattern is going the correct way. This one really doesn't really matter upside one way or the other. Actually kind of does. I kind of like the blue flowers, the balmy blue flowers going up this way. So you just don't want your pattern going upside down. So I'm just using about a 1/4 inch border on the top, right, and bottom. Now I'm going to bring in the other panel, and we're just going to adhere that to the left side over here. And again, this one does have a pretty significant pattern, so we'll make sure it's going the correct way. Again, just about a 1/4 inch border on the 3 sides. And now we're going to bring in, I like a darker image for the center, so this one will just get adhered down here. Again, we'll just bring our snail in. And this one really doesn't have a pattern that you have to worry about, so I'm just going to adhere that down. So we've got this looking good, and we'll bring in our card base in just a second, but what we're going to do is let's get this panel on our card. And what I'm doing right now is I'm just looking for an all-around equal border, top, bottom, left, and right, and we'll just adhere this down. All right, So the next step is let's work on the embellishment here. So we'll bring in a scrap piece of Whisper White. We need Early Espresso ink. And we need the Meant to Be, which is still in my case. And I wanted to show you the cling mount. These are all mounted, and there's a lot of instructions on YouTube. I'm not sure if I'll be able to make one or not, but I just wanted to show you how I store mine. I threw out the red rubber. Actually, I kept it in a drawer just in case, because you just never know, right? And they're just stuck on this plastic case here. So I'm gonna just gently pull this off because they stick right to that case. So I'm gonna pull off this, and I've gotta go get a block because I neglected to get one. And let me show you. All I need to do is just put this right here, down on, and it sticks. So I love that we can have our labels on and they actually stick to the blocks. So we're just going to stamp that down. Looks great. The thing you don't want to do is you don't want to leave the cling mount stamps on the blocks too long. They are meant to be taken off and stored, so makes you much more organized, or at least it does for me. So now what we're going to do is we're going to cut out the Meant to Be with our 2-inch circle, and I want the Meant to Be closer to the top, so I have a little bit of white space so I can put those little flowers down. All right, so we've got that punched out. Our next step is to bring in a scrap of Early Espresso, and I've got the Starburst punch here. I'm just going to punch out a Starburst circle. And now we'll just need to adhere the sentiment circle to the Starburst. This is a very simple card that you can pretty much mass produce, and it's great for beginners as well, and seasoned stampers as well. All right, so now let me just bring in that die set. This is, let's see, this is the Lovely Flowers Edgelit dies, and there are so many dies in here. Hopefully I won't lose one, but we're only going to be using one today, and I've already pre-cut it out with a Big Shot. And there's 4 little flowers here. We're only going to use 3 of them because I like to work in odd numbers. So the little one that we're not going to use, I'll just use on another card later. So I'm just going to pop those out with my piercing tool. So I'm going to be using the big one and a little one and another little one. So we'll set this one aside. All right, so now we're going to bring in our mini dimensionals because I want to pop up that big one. And we'll need to cut down one of the mini dimensionals because they're just too big. So what I do is I just bring in my scissors here and I just cut half down, and I like to use my piercing tool just to take it off. I've got part of that adhesive coming off. And I'm going to stick, actually it's stuck to my finger, so it's okay. We can hopefully take that off. Yep. All right, and so now I'm just going to gently put this down in the middle. And now I'm going to just center this in on the circle here and just give it a nice little press. These 2 little ones can be stuck down, adhered down with just Tombow glue. You don't need a lot. All I need to do is just put a little dab right there in the center. That should be plenty. And I'm just going to tuck this one underneath here and just move it out to the right side. And now I'm just going to take this one. Again, I'm just going to add a little bit of Tombow glue and flip it over. And I'm going to just put it right down here. Okay, so the next thing we'll do is bring in our rhinestones. And I like to use the medium size on the bigger flower here, and the smaller rhinestones for the little ones. Just think it adds a little bit A little bit of sparkle to the embellishment. Okay, we're looking good so far. Now the next thing we're going to need to do is take that balmy blue organza ribbon. I'm not really sure how much I need, so what I would like to show you how I figured it out is I just kind of made like a, you know, one of those ribbons that we see, cancer ribbons here, and then I just kind of like laid it down here and just figured out if that was going to be enough. I need to get my ribbon scissors here, so I need to cut off about this much here. Okay, so now what we're going to do, I'm going to cross this equally. Okay, and now I'm going to get a piece of Scotch tape here. I'm going to lay it on top of this ribbon here, flip it over, and now I'm going to lay this down, and I want it angled up so it's going up that way, and give it a nice little press. If you don't have it in the right spot, you can always just lift this tape up and you'll be okay. All right, so I'm not going to trim off the ends until I get this on the card. I want this over just a little bit more. Okay, so now I need to get some dimensionals. You only need 3. Okay. And then we'll just give those a press with our fingernail and to get those popped off easily. All right, and we are going to bring in our card here. And I'm just going to, I want to center it top and the bottom and kind of right in the smack dab in the middle there, those 2 panels, and just give it a nice press. Okay, so now I'm just going to bring in my ribbon scissors here, and I'm just going to trim this down at an angle. Okay, and that one looks fine. So the front of our card is done. Next thing we just need to do is bring in our inside panel here, and a piece of this strip, the strip of Designer Series paper. This is cut 1/2 inch by 5 1/4, and we'll just run our snail adhesive down. And if it has a pattern, you're going to want to make sure your flowers are going in the correct direction. I just like to also leave a little bit of white, whisper white here at the bottom. If it's running over just a little bit like it is on my panel here, you can just trim this off and you'll be good to go. All right, so now we'll just add some more adhesive to the top. And we'll just lay this down flat. 1/4 inch border, give it a nice press, and your card is done. So here's the card we just created here, and the one I made earlier today. So I hope you enjoyed this card. It is a simple stamping card, and for all your stamping needs, you can visit my website at inspiredbygram.com. Thanks for watching.